in share prices has given pensions a huge boost, with annual payouts at their highest for nearly a decade. It's not something, I guess, that Mrs May or Mr Trump will need to worry about just yet. They're planning to be in office for a few years yet. It's back to their big meeting tomorrow in The Guardian, which has a photograph from Theresa May's speech before Republicans this evening and highlights her assertion that she could forge a strong personal relationship with the new president because opposites attract. The eye focuses on President Trump's policy with his neighbours, one neighbour in particular. It describes the battle over that border wall or fence or whatever it's going to end up being, a Mexican standoff. The Mirror gives its front page over to the news about television star Rory McGrath, who today admitted stalking a former lover. The Mail makes a health story its lead. The paper says patients are going to be denied a hip replacement unless their pain is so severe that they cannot sleep. Well, let's talk. I think we're probably going to be guided by the front pages tomorrow morning. Let's begin with the Metro. Melanie, the odd couple. You're from another of those neighbours of the United States, Canada. Do you think they're an odd couple, or do you think there is some kind of ideological core that's emerged as a result of this speech and the meeting tomorrow?
They certainly are an odd couple, and Theresa May again. She mentioned the fact that she's the daughter of a vicar, and made sure that she emphasized that in her speech. However, on the other hand, she also said that we do share the same values as countries as well as leaders in terms of the belief of liberty and hard work and those typical conservative values. So yes, acknowledging the difference, but saying that we can go together in form of a new partnership together.
It's pretty much also, just looking at the next front page, the message that comes across as well on a number of the covers, isn't it? I mean, The Guardian again saying opposites attract. She's trying to make a virtue of this, Jason. Is she making the best of a bad lot, or do you think her team think there is a germ here of something that they can work with more productively, perhaps, than the Conservatives felt in the end they were able to work with the Obama administration?
Okay. Well, let's go back one step first. But should she have gone at all? But the fact she's the first world leader is seen by some as a great coup, and the Brexiteers are loving it because they think not only was she the first to meet the new president, but she could be then the first to get a new trade deal eventually. And then others are saying, well, is it looking a little bit needy? Is she is she fawning? Is this a kind of act of desperation? I think her speech was actually quite canny. It was a difficult hand to play. It was obviously much about Trump, which was repellent. Maybe she could have been a bit stronger on some of this. I mean, the Theresa May, we know, is quite prim, as we said. She's a daughter of a vicar, and he's a very brash reality star billionaire who's made some pretty unpleasant comments about women with disabled.
And she's taken the issue of sexual exploitation, particularly when she was at the Home Office of Women, very, very seriously on modern-day slavery, domestic violence, all those issues.
So this was, but in terms of the big geopolitical stuff, I thought she weaved quite carefully some kind of nudges to Trump as saying, look, the NATO is important, that don't be fooled by Vladimir Putin. On the importance of the United Nations. So the bit I find difficult is the message about shared values, because I'm not sure Trump has any values. And this kind of way we kind of play up the special relationship. Now, if you listen to various American presidents in the last kind of 20 or 30 years, as I've done, they talk about the special relationship with Britain, and when they talk to the next country, they talk about the enduring relationship. And the next country that comes along, they talk about the lasting relationship or the historic relationship. I mean, we've taken the special relationship as ours, and the other countries go back and go, well, we've got this, we've got the enduring one, what about that? So I kind of think we overhype the special relationship. But so that's the bit which really worries me. And then let's see what Trump actually does when we do get to Trump.
Actually, in terms of when we start arguing about brass tacks, I mean, very interesting parallel that a number of the papers, and of course partly because it's in her speech herself, that Margaret Thatcher is really at the back of her mind, that she wants that kind of relationship. Maggie May, the Huffington Post has it. Is that how she will be seen, do you think, in North America? Is it automatically because she's a woman and she's leading Britain, therefore she must be another Margaret Thatcher?
I think that inadvertently she was always going to be compared to Margaret Thatcher. There is nothing, just because, yes, there are two women and the circumstances in which they came to office were also similar. However, what was lovely about her speech, and I do agree with you, I think the speech was very, very smart. It towed the line, and it demonstrated strength in the areas where I think we needed to see strength. However, it was also almost an olive branch in regards to acknowledging some of those shared values, because I do think that Trump has not demonstrated, but has spoken of the values like patriotism, and nationalism, and pride in one's country.
But nationalism, not as very striking in the speech, not as an excuse to disengage from the world. I mean, it seemed to be, you may not want to fight foreign wars, we'll talk about that in a minute, but you have still got to be a leader in the world. You can't just back off. It's quite a striking challenge to Americans.
I think there was a conflicted message here. And there's this one line saying we're not going to repeat the mistakes of Bush and Blair and intervene in countries and try and impose our values on them.
So as the Telegraph has it, no more wars like Iraq.
And then in the next line, but nor are we going to stand back if there's a threat. And then she goes on to talk about how, yes, we must go on and tackle Daesh in the Middle East, and you're going, well, hang on here. None of these things actually work together as a kind of harmonious kind of line of argument. I mean, if you are going to stand up to Daesh, does that require intervention or it doesn't? You know, if we are under threat, does that require intervention or it doesn't? And I don't think she would fully resolve that.
But I think that she did a very good job in terms of resolving it, because there's a very clear step where she indicated we are not going to make these countries in our own image.
Which
so I think
was,
there
of
was
course,
a qualifying
the idea, wasn't
term.
there? Yeah.
Exactly, rather
the sort of
than
Blair
being,
Bush sort of
however,
philosophy.
if we are threatened, then we will not be standing up.
Fundamental point of what image is this anymore? I mean, this is the Trump image. Is this a British image? I mean, these are completely disparate points. You know, we don't know what the Trump image is of a snarling, deal-making, repugnant, nationalistic in the worst sense president. And Theresa May was still trying to cling on to this kind of traditional kind of partnership we had. I'm not sure that's entirely possible.
What do you think then, just picking up on that point that Jason was making about the sort of transactional suggestion of what kind of relationship we might have with Donald Trump, that, you know, it has to be what you're going to offer for America, and then, you know, it's almost kind of crude. It's a business relationship. When he said for business deals, for trade deals, 30 days termination contract clause. I mean, is any other country really going to buy up to that just to get a trade deal with the United States, that the US could walk away with 30 days notice?
I think that Donald Trump will have a sad awakening, a very rude awakening in regards to negotiation and international negotiation. I don't think that's possible, quite frankly. However, I don't think that he is. I think it's more bravado. It really is more. And I am not by any means a person who has voted for Trump or any other way. However, I do think there's a lot about kind of drawing a line in the sand and then working towards it, rather than it being, okay, well, I'm going to come in and just, hey, let's just trade and have a good time.
See, there's another example of this, isn't there? I mean, there aren't many jokes out of the stories that are around, and this big story in particular, but the Matt cartoon, Jason, is always one that makes you stop and think. What do you make of this? Tell us what it says, first of all.
This is kind of one of the darkest Matt cartoons. We were looking for some light relief on quite a heavy news
but we got
day.
black humour.
And
we've now got these MPs walking from the House of Commons chamber lobby going, I'm just saying triggering Article 50 would be a lot easier if we could torture the Remainers. You know, there's obviously kind of the reference to the problems back home about trying to get Article 50 through for Jeremy Corbyn, amongst others, and this Trump's comments about torture, quotes, absolutely works. You have to fight fire with fire. Now Theresa May on the plane out to Philadelphia today said, yes, we will stand up and I will raise torture with him. And this is the crucial bit.
Yes.
She says, look, if our intelligence sharing with America is based on them using torture to extract information, then that relationship collapses. Now, the fundamentals we have with America before Trump were we had an unprecedented security and defence relationship. It was stronger than with almost any other country in the world. And then we had opposition as America's leading voice within the European Union. Now, both those pillars are in danger of collapsing, which are, coming back to this, the fundamentals of our special relationship, using that phrase in its broadest context.
Yet again, this just highlights to me how political and how beautifully political her speech was, because in order to even just the towing the line in regards to just up until this point in regards to Brexit, and
Yes.
she has been towing the line quite well, and she towed the line quite well with this one. However, the reality of it is that the two positions are untenable.
Yes.
So if Trump is blatantly saying waterboarding is allowed, permissible, and not even so, let's fight fire with fire. He's
And it's
almost looking for it.
And
where
as the
she is
Congressional
delayed.
Republicans said tonight in Philadelphia, at the moment it's illegal. So you'd have to change the law in America before you could even contemplate it.
And the
Okay.
wedding is so deep between these
Yes.
two countries that, quite frankly, it would take years for us to untangle them anyway. And so
Another-
again, it's untenable. It reminds me of our Brexit, our Brexit struggle
Brexit
right
means
now.
Brexit.
Exactly.
Maybe enhanced interrogation techniques does or doesn't mean torture. Discuss.
Exactly.
Mexican standoff. Neat headline from the Eye on a less than neat relationship, and one that seems to be getting more and more difficult. But let's end on the New York Times, Jason. This interesting piece in its analysis on the front page: fashioning policy from random Twitter posts. Is this going to be the shape of things to come for the next 4 years of a Trump presidency?
All the members of the Trump staff in the White House say he's going to carry on tweeting, and we're going to have to get used to it. Now, they say this is his way of getting his message across, because he doesn't trust the
Mainstream media.
People like myself, obviously, we just report alternative facts, which I would actually call a lie, and Trump can use this. Now, the cleverness of Trump on this is the way he uses Twitter as a distraction. So bad news comes along, and then you suddenly find him tweeting what looks random, but probably is on purpose, about a TV show or the ratings of The Apprentice.
Something to get the headlines.
And so we all look at that, and then we're not looking over there. And it's quite frightening in terms of stock markets are moved on these tweets.
Yeah.
Policies are shaped by them.
Melanie Sabi and Jason Beattie, we're out of time, unfortunately, but if you like, you can always continue the
Always.
debate
We
on
always
Twitter.
will.
That's the papers tonight. Don't forget, you can see the front pages online on the BBC News website. It's all there for you 7 days a week. bbc.co.uk/papers. And if you miss any of this evening's programme, you can watch it later on the iPlayer. Thanks to Melanie and Jason. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.